All set? I'm waiting to get the all clear here.
Sorry, it's okay.
Wow, that's a tiny little signature packet.
Oh, yeah, thanks so much. Thank you.
Go.
He's watching it on Zoom.
All right. Calling to order the Needham Select Board meeting of May 9th. The first item we have is our public comment period. I don't know if we don't have anybody in the room for public comment. I don't know if we have anybody online who wishes to make a public comment. It looks like no. All right, great. Then that moves to the first item on our agenda, which is the Human Rights Committee discrimination complaint process. We are excited to have Tina and Marlene back again.
Hi.
We
Hello.
have been working at perfecting this process.
Years.
Our goal is not to have the perfect be the enemy of the good, because I think I appreciated the way that you teed up what the good things are and the reasons why we're doing this by going back to our Nuwari roots and principles and why we're trying to do some of this work. So let me turn it over to you guys to present the latest round for our review.
So we did just want to highlight a couple of pieces from the Nuwari vision statement, which was adopted by the Needham Select Board on March 23rd, 2021. Supporting the following intentional practices will help Needham realize the vision for racial equality. And there are 3 bullet points here that I think are pertinent to what we are discussing tonight. Foster safe environments for and listen to residents who are directly affected by racism and racial inequities. Engage in meaningful and productive conversations on racial issues with town/community members, and stand up, speak out, and act against racism and racial injustice. So we know that this has been a process, but given some of the goals of the town and ultimately of the board, I think that what we're proposing falls directly in line with this vision statement.
And we want to thank you for all of your feedback, even though we weren't excited about coming the 3rd time. But we feel like actually it was really helpful, the feedback that you all gave us, and we think that we have come up with something that hopefully we're happy with, and hopefully you'll be happy with it too. So I'm just going to kind of run through the flow chart with you and then we'll see if you have any questions. So someone has a complaint based on they feel that they were discriminated against, either a resident or someone who works here or someone who just happens to come through the town. They can register their complaint either on the phone or through an intake form. We have to develop all of these pieces once this is approved. So then someone on the Human Rights Committee will initiate contact with the complainant to discuss what it is that they're complaining about, even though they've already filled something. We want to get more information and what kind of a remedy is being sought. Then the case will be presented by the intake person anonymously. So it's easy just to say there was a resident who this and this happened. No names, everything will be anonymous. And the Human Rights Committee will collectively determine if this is an issue of human rights. It's not an issue of human rights, it's not within our purview. So if it is, so I'm going to just go down. So if it is an issue, then that person, that member of the Human Rights Committee, will gather the detailed information from the parties involved, try to get an understanding of the situation, will facilitate communication between the parties, hopefully to develop a resolution, consult Human Rights Committee to help develop a resolution if necessary. And then hopefully the complainant and the respondent agree upon a resolution. We close the case and we log the statistics because we want to keep that. Now, when we go back up to the top, once the complainant has been spoken with, if they may just want to vent, they may not want to file a formal complaint, and it'll just be a listening session, and we're happy to do that. And then we close the case, and we log it statistically, and we tell the Human Rights Committee what happened. If they do decide that we decide it's not a human rights issue, we can refer them to external agencies, or if it's not within our purview, and we'll close the case. And let me see if there's anything else. We will consult with outside resources if necessary. And if the complainant do not agree upon a resolution, we'll say, there's nothing more that we can do and suggest they go other places. And then we close the case and report the findings. So it takes out a lot of the other kind of steps. And we think that it simplifies it, makes it better for everybody.
So I think a lot of the concerns last time related to concerns around being able to keep things anonymous and keep it limited enough so that we could protect people in that case, while still recognizing that we wanted to understand the nature of what some of these issues were, so that we had an ability to make the invisible visible. In that sense, I found the flow chart helpful. I also found your charts over here that talked about the kinds of cases that you would process and what you would refer to somewhere else. Also to be quite helpful to me in terms of understanding how you were thinking about this. Questions?
Yeah, this is great. On the reporting of the statistical data, when are you gonna do you have a schedule of when you might compile it and publish it?
I would think it would go into the annual report.
Okay.
We haven't really talked about it, but I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure
No,
that
but
makes
it'd be-
most sense to go into the annual report.
It'd really be a great set of data to see
Yeah.
how things are shaping up. Yeah, thanks.
Madam Chair. I just want to say thank you for persevering. And I know that this was a long process even before you came here the first time, and then we made it considerably longer. So thank you for sticking to it. And I think this is really important. And I appreciate that we will have a way to, to really allow people to express their feelings, and not just Needham cannot just talk the talk, but now we're gonna walk the walk, and that's important. So thank you.
Yeah, I would just say the amount of back and forth that has gone with trying to create this and recreate and take out, add, come back to us, talk to the group is so commendable, and just appreciate that we've gotten to a point where we are right now, just because like Heidi said about persevering and not giving up, and knowing that this is so important for our town to have these steps, and to have all of you doing what you're doing to make people feel that they can be heard, seen, and safe. And I think all those things are super important. So I appreciate both of you and the whole Human Rights Committee.
I just want to note there's one other very important section of this process that you laid out, which is what might a resolution look like? And for the listening audience, this is available, but there are 5 things that are listed here: a listening ear, a facilitated conversation between 2 parties, an apology, a referral to other resources and agencies, and a letter of recommendation on town policies or programs to the select board. All those things are really important, because sometimes, as you noted, people do just want to be heard. But from our perspective, we're looking to understand where are the places in our systems where it causes issues. So I think the letter of recommendation around town policies is going to be a really critical piece of feedback that you maybe can help us surface on some areas. So I'm grateful. Great. Okay. It's been a long road.
Yeah, I think this is wonderful, and I know I haven't been part of this, but you guys have been back and forth a lot, but I think this is great that you've gotten to this point and persevered. I'm interested in how people who do have complaints will know to find you.
we have to market. We have to let people know.
Yeah.
And that's like the next step, one of the next steps. How are we going to communicate?
There are a lot of people that didn't even know that there's a human rights committee here in the town. So that is definitely our next.
I mean, the weekly email that goes out to the town is a perfect way to begin communicating. We have a Facebook page. We have a website, through the town. So there are avenues.
And then also our network of other organizations that are doing like-minded work. There's several social justice organizations in town. Interclergy Association, the Needham Resilience Network, all of the different cultural groups. So,
NDI,
yeah.
There are a lot of different.
But we do have to coordinate and connect with everybody and make sure that we have the support in getting the word out.
That's excellent. So I think the goal was to figure out how to get started, and then we'll be able to take a look once you've been doing it for a bit and see how it's going and what's working and what we've learned. And I
Right.
think we look forward to hearing that. So
Madam Chair, I move that the board vote to approve the Human Rights Committee's proposed discrimination complaint process.
Second.
any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 5-0.
Thank you so much.
You can go do a happy dance. That was easy. Oh, my goodness. So I want to thank, I know Katie's been also working with you through all of this. I want to thank Katie as well. And, I know there's a number of other folks from the committee who have also been very key parts of this, working through this process. It has been a long process, I think longer than we thought. I think it's come to a good resolution and a good place to see how this works. And as I keep saying, the real thing is not knowing what we don't know.
Right.
And I think starting to make visible some of that not knowing what we don't know is a useful thing. And I think this will be a tool to help us learn more. So I'm grateful. Thank you to you.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, can I move the consent agenda?
I'm so excited you did that, Kevin.
Thank you.
Second.
Any discussion? I see the block parties are beginning. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 5-0. Thanks. The next item on our agenda, we're all very sad not to have the audit tonight. Heartbroken, Dave, just heartbroken. They'll be coming back soon. So that moves us to the town manager's report. And Kate, if you want to, it's never too early to start talking about planning for goals.
So we're going to talk a little bit about the goals that were adopted last year, give you, revised in January, give you some updates, and also to talk about, it would be our intent in June to reach out to the other elected and appointed boards and ask them for their input. What we did last year, really for the first time formally, was to send out the select board's prior year goals and asked if there were items on there that the board and committees and staff wanted to continue, or things that needed to get added. And we did get feedback from a number of places, so that would be helpful.
I think we could offer, if there are items that they no longer have an interest in, they could let us know as well. But
Fresh off of town meeting. The other thing that I did want to note is that there are a number of items on this list, and that means there will be more added, that will require significant select board member participation, likely in the form of a committee. And so I note, for instance, the Town Seal Project when we get to that, the Tree Summit when we get to that, we've committed to the Quiet Zone. There's the DHCD MBTA housing, which is a very big lift. The Affordable Housing Trust is on the agenda in terms of how that's being managed. And then there's the Streetscape Project. And so that's just the ones that I see now as going to have significant board member involvement. So I guess think about, Marianne had asked me to mention if individual board members have things they want to work on, to let me know early. But I think we found this year, it's like we had been talking about Zoom, there's the limit on how many people can come. There's a limit on how many studies that we can have and how many committees we can have. And we were over in FY23. I think that we say this every year, we really need to prioritize what we're going to do. But we did talk about the board at its retreat looking at its vision for the community, and then sharing and getting feedback on that vision. And that will really help inform some of the individual goals that you set. Some of them might have to drop off if they're not really towards that vision. So I'm not going to talk about all 74, but there's a couple. On the first page, 1.2, the DHCD MBTA communities, we are at initial interim compliance, but we do need to finish this to a target, we think at this point, of the October 24 special town meeting. So we are up against the deadline right now to start. So we really talked about having a working group. We talked to the planning board about creating a working group, and we really need to get that started in June to get that moving.
So Kate, I think it's important when you say that the challenge here really to get to that October 2024 is that this zoning has to go to the state for approval before it can come to us. So we almost are having a date that is, I can't remember exactly where it is, early next winter?
We need to have the final zoning by, I believe, April of 24. We just talked about April of 24 in order to give 90 days and then to give the planning board. So what DHCD will do is they'll tell you whether they think your zoning is in compliance. And if it is, then it goes to the planning board for final hearing and then goes to town meeting in October of 24. So there's a lot.
Recognizing that they can't make it bigger, they can only make it smaller from there. So all those different constraints. So I just think it's deceiving when we talk about October 2024. People think that's a long time away, but the answer is when you back up all the dates, we're really tracking to a much earlier deadline. So.
And I would say, and I'll probably say this a lot, this is probably the biggest thing you'll do in years. So it's a big project.
Yeah.
It's a big project, to say it.
You can say it again.
Okay, don't worry. We're struggling to get a responsive bidder for our RTS service delivery model study, which is too bad because they really can help us with making decisions on the DPW facility. But we're going back out to resolicit quotes on that.
Do we have any sense of why it's so challenging right now?
Everything costs more.
Okay, all right,
Cindy coined that and we're still using it. So,
okay. So it's not that there aren't vendors out there, it's a mismatch.
yes, I believe we're sharpening the scope, I think is what we're doing. Yeah.
Okay.
The let's see, the Active Rec Committee finished its work, so I know that those ideas will be part of the goal setting for FY24, and there's a lot in there, and there's a lot of work there, and you know, creating tennis, pickleball, active parks, and off-leash potential dog areas are. There's a lot there, and there's multi-boards involved in those decision-making. On the town seal, and which has turned out to be a branding and logo and seal project, the board's initial conversation had really been about the graphic quality and the historical accuracy. Seeing many communities, including Natick, just this week at town meeting last week at town meeting changed their seal. This might be a broader conversation, I think, about what the town seal is and what it should be. I'm not prejudging, but we also talked about the notion of separating the seal, which is official business, from a logo, which is on T-shirts and vehicles and things like that. So we do have currently the possibility of some state funding to help us with this, which would be very helpful both from a facilitation perspective and design idea perspective. So more to follow on that. On the local historic district, we have the committee set, and the last I heard that they were trying to find a date to meet, so that really is moving ahead. So that's another project that will be potentially heading to town meeting, and another project that has to go to the state first. So, the parking study is almost finalized. The vendor is meeting with the planning board this week, and then the final report will be issued, and this work will dovetail, I think, right into our vision of the streetscape project that is on the list. We'll have at your meeting, I believe the first meeting in June, the final approval of the charge and composition for the Mobility Planning Coordinating Committee. We need to wait to the 21-day decision period on that. And then we'll get that, those members appointed and get them to start working. One of the things that has become clear is that there are a number of items on this goal list that could go to that committee. So maybe they'll ultimately be meeting twice a year, but I think earlier they'll be meeting more than that, because the microtransit, for instance, may be something that they want to help think about, and also the community way between Needham and Newton. Both of those projects will be finishing up in June, July, and they'll need a way to get to their next step. So they'll stay on the board's goals.
I was going to say the twice a year was always only envisioned as those two kind of required touch point meetings. And beyond that, if they have real work, they were
Yes.
happy to meet. So yeah,
I think they'll have real work.
I think they're going to have real work.
We will be seeking a reserve fund transfer for the refresh for the Quiet Zone feasibility at their meeting, which will be either the 21st or the 28th of June. So we will have a draft scope of work prepared for that, and then we will go out to bid. Yes, we'll do an RFP for that at that rate. Yes, starting in July.
And we're going to pull together that Quiet Zone group
Yes.
to create that draft scope. So that's actually a now to June 30th, essentially piece of work.
We'll pull together the group to react to the
Yeah.
draft scope. Yes, it's mostly written. Under 3.4 on the goals are the rail trail items, the downtown redesign. We will be asking the board to prioritize the various options with respect to the streetscape. So we have a list of about 12 to 15 items, some of them in competition. So, more travel lanes, more parking, less parking, more bike lanes, wider sidewalks. So to get a sense of priority. And then our hope and our plan would be to have some of our pre-qualified consulting engineers sort of in a contest way, give us ideas that we can then start to envision what that might look like. One of the prerequisites to designing the Quiet Zone crossing at Great Plain Avenue is to know how many lanes of traffic there are and how wide the sidewalks are. So that these things are all happening at the same time. Um, 4.8, work with the Human Rights Committee to develop a discrimination complaint process. Check that one off.
Yep.
The others. Of note, the board set a goal to work with public safety unions to reach agreement on alternatives to the civil service system. I commend the work of everyone. I don't know if you had asked me last summer or the summer before when this was adopted that I thought we could achieve that in the 2-year period. I'm not sure I would have said yes. And I think it's fantastic that everybody worked together. Town meeting was very supportive. The voters were supportive. And the employees of the police and fire were very supportive, including notably the chiefs and our director of human resources. So that's a real amazing achievement, I think, for the town to have done in just 2 years. The the use of all stabilization funds, the director of finance will be meeting with representatives of the finance committee to draft up some new target recommendations, although we keep adding stabilization funds. So we've added 2 in the last week, so they don't necessarily have the same need for target, but they will be there. We did talk a lot about employee recruitment and retention with Chuck Murphy-Romboletti, and he's working on a grant opportunity to help us bring in a fellow to help with that. It was very, very encouraging that the board, the finance committee, and town meeting approved the staffing and the recruitment assistance to help HR meet what is an amazing challenge right now of trying to hire the right employees. And under select board engagement, the select board's office hours program has started, and you're going to talk about that later on your agenda. You updated your appointment protocol. You made a recommendation with respect to the role of the personnel board, which was approved by the town meeting last night, which is very encouraging, and we'll be sending that off to the legislature as soon as the rescission period is over. We will be reviewing and recodifying the non-criminal disposition bylaw, getting that. I really would like to, if possible, get that fast-tracked, and just, we be working on that. We did commit to town meeting rather than bring back just the bare bones, we really should look at whether some of them are still needed. So it may take us longer than October, so we'll work on that. The board updated your alcohol regulations, appointed town council, thank you, and approved the policy governing public outdoor spaces. So there's been an amazing amount of work, I think you can see, and really one of the things the board did last summer was board members volunteered on all of these to be the point person, and that was really helpful to have an extra pair of hands. Our climate action plan, we have a new, have the consultant on board, that's moving fast ahead. And the interviews for the municipal aggregation are starting tomorrow. So we should have our consultant, and that's moving ahead. We'll have our consultant, and then we'll start the process. You may have read, I think it was in Commonwealth Magazine, that there's a push by this administration to make the DPU process faster because that was very lengthy. So that would be a good time for us. Also, if electricity rates start to come down, that's better for us in terms of trying to lock things in. We are bringing you a proposal on electric vehicle charging rates, as we had talked about, and as I've just talked about municipal energy aggregation. So that's a very quick update of where some of the items stand. It wasn't all of them. We'll be sending the request out to the boards and committees, and the board will meet in early August to start the next year's process. And again, if there's something on there that you particularly want to work on, let me know and I'll work that out. And if you have items that are not here at all, this is the time to start saying, at least put them on the list. So, that makes sense.
For Matt, I would say nips.
Yes.
Yes.
Small alcohol bottles.
Yes,
Yes.
Yeah.
there we go.
Nifties or something else.
Yes, it is. Any other comments? There's a lot on here. It's a huge amount of work. It's a huge amount of work from all of our town staff to make this happen. Kate's right. It was probably too much. Nobody's died in the process, but we were lucky a few times. And that doesn't even include the things that are not on this list that we've spent hours and hours on as well. So there's a few of those also.
Yes, there are.
So I'm sure that we will do our best to be more selective next year, and I wish us good luck in that process.
Well, we're gonna try.
We're going to try, right?
We're gonna succeed, Kate. Okay.
Okay, but I do think the right thing to do is to start, again, as we did last year with putting it out to the boards and committees to get input from them ahead of our summer retreat. Other observations, comments?
Yeah. Thank you, Madge. I was reading through, I was surprised how much we accomplished. I mean, sometimes I thought this list was like wonderfully aspirational. And then I realized we're actually doing this stuff. We're just flying through the list. So to all the staff and everyone, this is a big lift. And I'm amazed how much we got done.
It is true, when you lose a member of the team, it does come to kind of a screeching halt, right? So we've had a couple of transitions, and hopefully they'll all be filled in the next month and then start up again.
So we can do more. Right? I'm kidding.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Kate. We will look forward to more. Is there any other, so people should be thinking, if there's something that's not here that you think is a priority and you would like us to consider and discuss, not that I'm, inviting you to add many things to this, then now's the time to flag it for Kate. Okay. All right. The next item on our agenda this evening is a board discussion, and I'd ask that the office hours schedule get put on this. I just wanted to pause for a moment. We've done 2 office hours, 3 office hours now?
Did you do one,
3?
Kevin?
Tomorrow, Thursday.
Kevin's coming up.
Kevin's are coming up. Okay, so Marcus did some, and I did one, and now Kevin. But before we went out again with 2 per month through the summer, I just wanted to pause and say, do we want to continue to do them during the summer? Do we just want to do 1 a month? The summer is sort of a different schedule. It's a different schedule in town hall. it's a different schedule with who's out and about. So I just wanted to at least have a conversation and give people a chance to think about that. I recognize that we have a really limited subset of information so far. I mean, I know when I did mine, I ended up speaking to 2 different parties. So did Marcus. One of them had contacted me ahead of time, the other one hadn't and just showed up. So I suspect everybody's experience for a little while will be different.
Work in progress,
But-
yeah.
Thoughts from people?
I would say when I think about in the summer, we really have one select board meeting per month, well, other than the goal setting. So to go to one in the summertime, I don't think it'd be a terrible idea, but that's just, as I'm thinking about the content that we get and what happens in the summer, I think that would be a more useful of our time and other people's time as the summer gets a little deserted around town for the most part.
Well, I think people deserve a break. I'm just going to say a little bit, so it's helpful.
I don't have an objection to that.
So does the summer mean June, July, and August, or July and August?
July.
Certainly July and August.
Yeah,
I
definitely
think
July,
it
August.
could mean June, July, and August, but I will again put it out to people on the committee. What direction do we want to give there?
I would do June, July, and August, and I would say the August one we should do before the goals meeting, just if people want to weigh in.
The
So that'd be
goals
like
meeting is the
August
3rd and
1st or 2nd,
4th.
or-
Are we
Third
going
and
to do
fourth,
that?
yeah.
Ours, oh, all right,
So,
August 1st.
So one a month in June, July, and August?
Yeah.
1 a month in June, July, and August. And then we'll go back to 2 a month in September.
I believe I'm already scheduled in June. I'm just trying to find that. June 5th.
Okay?
Yeah, I'm May, so.
You're in May.
I'm in May.
Okay. All right.
I assume I'm July.
All right,
Okay.
so that's
All right.
back to then
So then
Marcus
we'll
and
be
Mary Ann,
back
July
to
and
July
August.
and August. Okay.
It's easy.
All right. That sounds good. Committee reports. Do we have any? I don't think we've had any time for committees to meet in between town meeting and select board meetings,
My committee wrapped up.
right before our last meeting.
Yeah, so I
Okay.
don't think I have anything outstanding.
All right, I think we're good on that. We did our consent agenda. So we are ready then to move into executive session. And
Well, can I go back for one
Yes.
sec? Just Kevin and I are going to have a code of conduct meeting
yeah.
next week,
Yep.
maybe next week, to talk a little bit more about a code of conduct for the public interactions with staff. So if anybody's interested in that, that's a public meeting. They can join us online.
okay. All right. If there's no other business for public session this evening, then I would welcome a motion to go into executive session, not to return to public session for exception 6, real property, to discuss the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property. In this case, we're talking about the Foster property. And if the chair declares, and I do, that an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the public body.
So moved.
Second.
And we need a roll call. Marcus?
Aye.
Heidi? Aye. Kevin?
Aye.
Kathy?
Aye.
And Mary Ann votes aye. We are off to executive session.